Beyond 7 mountains and 7 rivers, there once was a small kingdom where majestic mountains rose and wide pastures turned green, called the Kingdom of Eternal Roses. In that kingdom lived a girl named Cinderella. Her life was not easy, but her heart was full of courage and kindness. Cinderella lived with her stepmother and 2 stepsisters. Her father, who was a loving and caring man, died when she was still young. After his death, her stepmother began to take care of Cinderella. However, she stopped smiling at her and started treating Cinderella very badly. While her stepsisters, Anastasia and Drizella, were pampered and spoiled, Cinderella had to do all the household chores. Every day, she would get up before dawn to clean the house, prepare breakfast, and take care of the animals. Despite this, she always found time to stop and admire the beauty of nature. She loved flowers, especially the roses that grew in their garden. She believed that her father would have wanted her to take care of them, so she watered and tended these beautiful flowers every day. One day, news came to the kingdom that the prince was holding a grand ball. All the girls in the kingdom were invited to attend, as the prince wanted to choose a bride. Anastasia and Drizella were thrilled. Cinderella also dreamed of going, but her stepmother quickly dismissed the idea.
You're going to the ball? Look at yourself. You have neither a dress nor jewelry, and besides, you have all your chores to do at home.
Her stepmother scoffed.
But why can't I go?
Cinderella asked quietly.
You said all the girls are invited.
Don't be cheeky.
Drizella yelled.
You're here just to work. We're going to the ball and you will stay home.
Her stepmother then picked up 1 bag full of lentils, another full of peas, and dumped them both on the ground.
Only when you have sorted all the lentils and all the peas into their proper bags, then you may go to the ball,
she said. Cinderella quickly set to work. She tried to sort all the lentils and peas, but the task was going very slowly. Midnight was approaching. Cinderella was disappointed but did not want to give up. When her stepmother and stepsisters left for the ball, she sat in her room and started to cry. Suddenly, a small bird, a gray sparrow, appeared before her, chirping sadly.
Where did you come from, little bird?
Cinderella asked. She gently took the bird in her hands and offered it some lentils and peas. The bird spoke.
I see you have a kind heart, Cinderella. As a reward, I will help you sort the lentils and peas.
The bird flew up and chirped quickly. Suddenly, a whole flock of sparrows arrived and began sorting the lentils and peas. They swiftly sorted them. The gray sparrow then returned to the surprised Cinderella.
Why are you still here, Cinderella? Why aren't you at the ball with the prince?
The bird asked.
How could I get to the ball? It's far, and I won't get there in time on foot. Besides, I have neither a suitable dress nor slippers.
I will help you get to the ball. You are so kind and gentle. You deserve a bit of luck,
said the bird, and handed Cinderella 3 nuts.
What's inside them?
Cinderella asked.
You'll see. But remember, the magic lasts only until midnight. You must return before the clock strikes 12,
said the bird and flew away. Cinderella took the 3 nuts in her hand and wished for a new dress, a carriage, and slippers. But nothing happened. She began to cry. The nuts accidentally fell from her hand. As soon as they touched the ground, something tinkled loudly. Before Cinderella appeared a beautiful dress, stunning slippers, and a royal carriage stood in the room. Cinderella quickly dressed and put on the slippers. In her heart, she thanked the bird once more. She climbed into the carriage, which took her to the prince's castle by itself, right to the ball. When she entered the hall, everyone turned to look at her. She was the most beautiful girl they had ever seen. The prince immediately approached her and asked her to dance.
May I have this dance?
The prince asked with a smile and bowed. Cinderella nodded and smiled at him. They danced together all evening, and the prince was charmed by her kindness and grace. They talked about all sorts of things, and Cinderella felt happier than ever before.
What is your name, beautiful princess? I have never seen you here before,
added the prince. Cinderella thought for a moment, and then smiled.
Just call me Cinderella,
she replied mysteriously. Cinderella and the prince glided gracefully across the grand ballroom floor, their movements perfectly synchronized as if they had danced together 1,000 times before. The music swelled, and they twirled and spun with an effortless elegance that captivated everyone present. Cinderella's beauty shone brightly under the chandeliers, her exquisite gown shimmering with every step. The intricate details of her dress, with its delicate embroidery and flowing fabric, caught the light and mesmerized the onlookers. Her sparkling glass slippers added a magical touch, glinting with each graceful movement. All eyes were on Cinderella, her radiant smile and graceful demeanor enchanting everyone in the room. Murmurs of admiration filled the air as guests whispered about her unmatched beauty and poise. The prince, unable to take his eyes off her, was completely entranced. His gaze followed her every move, filled with admiration and affection. As they danced, it was clear to everyone that they were a perfect pair. Cinderella's natural grace and the prince's strong, assured presence created a mesmerizing sight. Together, they moved as one, lost in the music and the magic of the moment. Time passed quickly, and Cinderella did not notice that midnight was approaching. When the clock struck 12, she remembered the bird's warning and ran out of the palace.
Wait for me, please. I don't even know your name,
called the prince. But Cinderella kept running. She lost one of her crystal slippers on the stairs, but could not stop. The prince found the slipper and decided to find the girl it belonged to. He proclaimed that every girl in the kingdom must try on the slipper, and the one it fit would become his bride. The prince set out on his quest to find the mysterious girl who had enchanted him at the ball. Armed with the delicate glass slipper she had left behind, he vowed to find its rightful owner. He traveled across the kingdom, visiting every village and town, determined to locate the girl with the perfect fit. His journey took him through bustling markets, where hopeful maidens eagerly tried on the slipper, only to find it too small. He visited grand estates, where even the wealthiest ladies could not match the size of the delicate shoe. Disappointment began to weigh on him, but he remained resolute. Venturing into the deep forests, the prince encountered humble cottages hidden among the trees. He knocked on doors, asking each young woman to try on the slipper, but none could make it fit. The dense woods echoed with the prince's calls, but the right girl remained elusive. His travels led him high into the mountains, where he braved treacherous paths and steep climbs. In remote villages perched on the cliffs, he continued his search, presenting the slipper to every maiden he met. Yet even in these isolated places, the slipper found no match. Despite the vast beauty of the kingdom and the kindness of its people, the prince could not find the girl who had captured his heart. With each failed attempt, his longing grew stronger, but so did his determination. He knew that somewhere, in a place he had not yet discovered, the girl with the small foot and kind heart awaited. As the days turned into weeks, the prince's quest became the talk of the kingdom. Stories of his dedication and the elusive glass slipper spread far and wide, filling the hearts of the people with hope and curiosity. The prince, undeterred by the challenges, pressed on, believing that love and destiny would eventually guide him to Cinderella. The prince returned to the palace after his fruitless search. He asked his advisors where else he should look. One of them suggested that he check the very edge of the kingdom. There, an old woman with 2 daughters was said to live. Perhaps Cinderella is one of them. The prince immediately set out on his journey. When the prince arrived at Cinderella's house, the stepsisters tried to put on the slipper, but it was too small for them.
I'll try it,
said Anastasia, forcing the slipper onto her foot.
It has to fit me.
Let me!
Yelled Drizella, pushing her sister aside. But neither girl could fit into Cinderella's slipper. Their feet were too large. The prince was about to leave for the castle in disappointment when he noticed a girl standing quietly behind the house in dirty, tattered clothes.
And you?
He asked with a smile.
Won't you try on the slipper?
Her stepmother tried to stop her, but the prince insisted. Cinderella put on the slipper, and it fit perfectly.
That's impossible,
Screamed the stepmother.
It must be some trick.
The prince ignored her and turned to Cinderella.
You are the one I've been looking for. Will you be my wife?
Cinderella smiled at him and nodded.
Yes, gladly.
Their wedding was magnificent. The kingdom rejoiced, and Cinderella became a kind and loving princess. The stepmother and stepsisters were surprised and ashamed of their behavior. Cinderella forgave them and allowed them to live in the palace, showing them that love and kindness are stronger than malice and envy.
Thank you, Cinderella.
Drizella said one day when Cinderella invited her for tea.
I never realized how cruel I was.
Yes, thank you.
added Anastasia.
We only thought about ourselves.
Cinderella smiled at them.
We all make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and become better people.
And so Cinderella and the prince lived happily ever after, ruling their kingdom with wisdom and love. And their story became a legend told for generations. This is a tale of how courage, kindness, and belief in dreams can become a reality and bring happiness even in the darkest of times.